Hello. So yeah, it's Christmas Eve. So I just wanted to do a quick video about one, to wish everyone Merry Christmas, and if you're people who don't celebrate Christmas, happy holidays. But yeah, and the other thing I wanted to talk about is Christmas time and disabilities, people with disabilities and learning difficulties, people on the spectrum. And I wanted to talk about how difficult Christmas can be and how overwhelming Christmas can be as well. Because people think Christmas is a great time. Kids love Christmas. Kids love all the lights, all the decorations, which they do. Kids do love that. But for some children and some adults on the spectrum and whatnot, it can be very, very overwhelming. Because you think there's so much more colour and everything is so much more shiny and glittery, and there's always Christmas songs playing somewhere. It can be quite noisy, especially if you go to your families for Christmas and you have all your family around for Christmas dinner. It can get very noisy as well, and very hectic, and people on the spectrum, they struggle with that, and that causes sensory overloads, which then cause meltdowns. And most people if they're not informed about autism, they see a meltdown and they think, oh, that child is throwing a tantrum. They couldn't get their own way, or they didn't get what they wanted for Christmas, so now they're throwing a tantrum over it. And no, that's not the case. A meltdown may resemble a tantrum, but it is not. It is anything but a tantrum. A meltdown is when an autistic person gets so overwhelmed and so my brain's gone dead. But when they get so overwhelmed and so sensory overloaded, that was what I was trying to think of. But, when that happens, they don't know how to let that out, they don't know how to cope with that. And they go into fight or flight, where that's either flight, which is run away and hide, or fight, which is throw a tantrum. Well, what is perceived as a tantrum, shout, scream, throw things, melt down, basically. So be wary, be aware that the child that looks like they're throwing a tantrum may not be. It may be the fact that they're on the spectrum and they've become overwhelmed with all the Christmas hubbub, and as well, not just kids on the spectrum and adults on the spectrum, people with other disabilities can find it difficult as well. Especially with the added costs of Christmas, because disability itself is expensive. You have loads of different costs around disability, and then the added costs of Christmas. So sometimes disabled people can't always afford to do Christmas properly, Like me, for instance, this year I couldn't afford to do a big proper Christmas. And also for health reasons as well, I struggled to do the big Christmases because before my health got really bad, I used to do a big Christmas where I'd cook up a big feast and I'd have friends and family come over and enjoy it with me. I haven't done that for a few years because mainly physically I struggle to do that now, because I struggle to use the cooker now. I struggle to bend down to the oven, get things in and out of the oven, especially heavy things like a baking dish full of a big turkey, it can be quite heavy, those joints of meat, especially for me. And, trying to get that out of the oven with fingers, thumbs and wrists that like to dislocate when I lift heavy things is disastrous, because my wrists end up dislocating or something, and I drop it all over myself, scalding myself with hot oil, or I'll drop the dinner all over the floor. And then of course that annoys me, because then I feel like I've ruined Christmas for everyone, and that kind of triggers my depression and anxiety and stuff. And then, so that's not good for Christmas. So if you are a disabled person and you're worrying that you can't cope with Christmas, don't overload yourself. Be honest with your friends and family and just say, look, I can't cope with this because of my health. I can't cope with doing Christmas dinner because of my health, and most of the time families and friends will say, well, that's okay, we will do it this year, or we will come over and help. Don't be scared to ask for help. But this year, today, it's Christmas Eve today, I'm going over to my sister's because she's alone this year, and she's registered blind. But she's cooking us a Christmas dinner, and she has all sorts of different appliances that she's recently got using her PIP, that she recently got. Well, not recently, I think it was a couple of years ago, a year or two ago, I think. But she's been using it to improve her life and make her life easier. So one of the appliances she got is called a VisiCook. And she's cooking her turkey in that. Well, she cooked it last night, and she's just gonna do it as like a cold meat, and which is an easier way for her to do it, because then she hasn't got a rush cooking it and she can take her time, because when she rushes, because of her eyesight and because of her mental health and everything as well, she gets stressed and then she forgets things, and so it's easier for her to do it at her own pace. So yeah, that's another good tip. So you don't have to rush on Christmas Day. Cook your turkey the day before, serve it as cold meat, or warm it up in the oven or something, but yeah, she's got a VisiCook, and she cooked her turkey in that. And then today she's going to cook her roast potatoes and her stuffing and everything like that in it. And she's got a Pressure King Pro as well. So she's cooking, I think she said she's going to cook her vegetables and stuff in that. And these are little like oven devices, little round things that sit on the countertop, and they have loads of different attachments to make it easier to cook food. And I was looking at it when I was round hers a couple of weeks ago, and it was a pretty nifty thing, and I thought maybe that would help me. Maybe that's something I should get. So I ordered one. Me and John decided, rather than get each other a Christmas present this year, we'll buy a joint Christmas present. So I said, okay, well, why don't we get the VisiCook? Because that will make our life easier. Plus, our cooker is very old and on its way out anyway. The oven doesn't work properly. So that's probably going to break down sometime in 2019. So we're going to need something else we can cook on. And the VisiCook, where it's going to be on the countertop, I'm not going to be needing to bend down, pulling things out of the oven, because the oven's like on the floor near enough. You know, so that's going to make it safer for me as well. So yeah, do look at things like that. You know, the VisiCook, Pressure King Pro, air fryers. There's this thing that I've been looking at called the Copper 5-minute Chef, something like that. It's like a little, it's like a frying pan, and it closes, and you can cook all sorts in there, you know. They were cooking pies in it, and, you know, it takes 5 minutes to cook everything. You know, I've been looking at sort of things like that for my kitchen that's going to make life easier for me. And trying to adapt to using my kitchen, because it's becoming harder and harder for me now. It's becoming harder to prepare food, like cut vegetables. So I've done things like bought already cut and prepared vegetables that are in the freezer, you know, like onions. I've onions and peppers already diced in the freezer, which you can buy from the supermarket in the freezer section. So don't be ashamed to use stuff like that. I know there's a lot of people out there that shame people for using already diced vegetables, already prepared, stuff like that. Don't be ashamed. If it helps you and it makes your, I don't know, kitchen experience safer and easier, don't be ashamed to do it, you know. And the stuff in the freezer is kept quite fresh, you know, and to be honest, it's no different to a fresh onion, you know, and you can easily use as much as you want from the bag, you know, and you ain't got to worry about accidentally cutting too much up, which usually I do. So yeah, stuff like that, that'll make your kitchen experience easier and safer, so don't be ashamed to use it. But yeah, so as well, frozen roast potatoes. Now usually for big meals like Christmas dinner, I used to like to go for all fresh and do it all from scratch, but the last couple of years I have been using frozen roast potatoes, because that's a lot easier, because there's less peeling and chopping and less of me cutting my fingers off and dislocating my wrist while trying to chop a potato, you know, less hospital trips. So yeah, you know, don't be afraid to use stuff like that, and don't let anyone shame you for using stuff like that. I've had people shame me and have a go at me. Oh, you should use fresh. Fresh is healthier. Fresh is better for the environment. Okay, yes, okay, it might be better for the environment, whatever. But I do want to save the environment, don't get me wrong. I want to protect the animals and the earth and everything. But I also want to protect myself. I want to keep all of my fingers, you know. So, you know, and as long as you recycle properly, it's fine, you know. So yeah, but as well, I should say as well, while we're talking about food stuff, if you do have a family member that is on the spectrum coming over for Christmas, if you have like family member that is autistic or has a similar disabilities or whatever, or has issues around food because of their disabilities, try not to be forceful, try not to pile too much on their plate, because like with me, I get overwhelmed with food. If there's too much on my plate, it makes me anxious and then that makes me feel nauseous, makes me feel ill, and then I don't want to eat, so I don't eat the food. Then people say to me, oh, you haven't eaten your food, you're going to eat your food, you're going to eat your food. And then I feel uncomfortable and I feel like I've been rude because I've not ate the food they've provided, that they've slaved over in their kitchen, and that makes me feel more anxious, more ill. So, try not to pile too much on their plates. I find what is easiest is, I know a lot of families already do it, but do it so that everything is served. This is how I do it. I do it so everything is served in bowls, in their own bowls or serving dishes in the middle of the table, and everyone gets their own empty plate, and then they can dish up themselves how much they want. They can serve themselves because then it is less overwhelming for people on the spectrum. It is less overwhelming because they know how much they can handle, so they can put whatever they like on their plate, and and it takes away a lot of that anxiety around the food. As well, have different types of food, because with me, I have a few funny issues with food and like texture, food touching, some foods touching, like wet food. If it's touching dry food, I'm put off. Excuse me. But yeah, if wet food is touching dry food, I'm put off of that food. It's weird. Things like bread, I can't eat bread that is soggy in any way. So like, for instance, a bacon sandwich, I can't have butter in my bacon sandwich because the hot bacon melts the butter, and that melted butter makes the bread soggy, So I have my bacon sandwich with no butter, no sauce, because I don't like the soggy bread, the texture of that. It makes me gag, it makes me sick, So if you're having, a good way to do it is if you're having a disabled person over or someone with these food issues over for Christmas dinner, ask them in advance, ring them up like a week or so in advance or whatever. Ask them in advance, what foods do you like, what things do you not like, ask them about their food anxieties and stuff, ask them, become aware. The more aware people are about autism and about disabilities, then the better it is for people with disabilities and autism and stuff, because then if more people understood us, life would be easier for us. Not that I'm having a go at people for not understanding. It is sometimes a very difficult thing to understand because it's a spectrum, Each person with it is different. It affects each person differently. Each person has different coping mechanisms, So it can be difficult to gauge. So the best thing to do is politely ask the person, politely ask them, what can I do to accommodate you? What can I do to help you? I know you have these issues. Could you help me and tell me a bit about them so I can better accommodate you during the Christmas dinner, during the Christmas festivities? That is the best way to do it. Just open a dialogue, open a conversation, The world seems to be very good at conversations these days and opening them, so, yeah, so I think that just about covers it. But yeah, today, like I said, I'm going over to my sister's. She's doing Christmas dinner for us there. Tomorrow I'll be doing a small Christmas dinner here for me and John, because, you know, I always have more than one Christmas dinner every Christmas. It's not Christmas unless you've had at least 2 Christmas dinners, you know. I'm greedy like that. So yeah, hopefully my new VisiCook will be here in a few days, and I can do a video about that. So maybe I could do like a kind of unboxing video, or I could do a video where I'm cooking. Actually, I have a couple of joints of meat in the freezer. I might have a go at cooking a joint of meat in there. So yeah, I might do a video showing you the VisiCook and whatnot. So yeah, look out for that. Stay tuned on my channel for that. That'll probably be after Christmas sometime. Hopefully before New Year. You know, maybe after New Year. It depends on when it's delivered. You know, Christmas post is a bit slow. So, but yeah, so thanks for watching. I'm going to go and finish getting ready because I have to be at my sister's like pretty soon. So, yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any other ideas about how to make Christmas easier for disabled people and people on the spectrum, do put them below in the comment section below the video, or go and post them on my Chronically Suki Facebook page. Go check that out and post it on there. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all later, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. See you all later. Bye bye.